Hello, everyone, and welcome to this spring cleaning for the lymphatic system. This is a yin inspired class. We're going to be doing some yin poses, but we're going to be moving in them. So, our lymphatic system is our body's drainage system. It's how we get rid of the stuff that needs to be gotten rid of in our body. So, we have hundreds of lymph nodes in our body, underneath the arms, the inner thighs, all over the place. And we need to move the body, pumping motion, and breath. So today's class is going to be yin inspired, but not yin. So you're going to be establishing traction in each of the poses and focusing on the breath. So let's start with the breath. Sitting up nice and tall. Oh, for today's class, you may or may not need a block, and you may or may not need something, a pillow or a blanket, to pad out a couple of the poses. I hope that you enjoyed today's class. So sitting up nice and tall, stacking the vertebrae one on top of each other, and we'll just start off by noticing our breath. As always, how are you breathing today? Now let's start by deepening the breath today into the ribs, inhaling and exhaling. Just feeling that beautiful breath. Beautiful. Setting our intention for today's class to drain or to clean out the system. So have fun today. We're going to start off with our first pose, side seal. I'm just going to bring my blanket over here because I might want it for underneath my elbow in a few minutes. So these poses are going to be a little different today. We're not going to find stillness necessarily in each of the poses. Some of the poses we're going to be moving in. So side seal, let's open up the right side of our body first. So pressing into the right hand and coming into side seal. The legs can be bent or straight. Find that sweet spot and just bring this hand here to the side or here. We're going to hold this pose for 2 minutes as is. So start to breathe into this side, expanding the bottom rib and pushing down into the floor. So we're stretching out that area underneath the shoulder, underneath the rib right here, stretching it out. Now breathe into that side and push down into the hip. So we are establishing traction and the pumping motion of the breath. So bring your awareness to the side and feel that stretch. You can be slouching into it a little bit. The focus is on the side here. Notice where you're feeling it. Move a little bit, but keep pushing down into the hip. Feel the traction and the breath. Our lymphatic system works by pumping through the breath, movement, and by bringing awareness to those areas that contain the lymph nodes. So twisting, lateral stretches, anything that opens up those areas. Keeping your balance in the middle point. Now let's bring that top foot down, bend back the bottom leg a little bit. We're going to take that left hand, the top arm back. So we're twisting now, still opening up. We're going to hold this for 1 minute. So keeping the chin tucked, we're now twisting and opening up both sides of the lymph nodes. So keep traction here. Keep pushing down into that hip. Focus on the breath, filling the areas underneath the arms. And you can twist a little bit more or less, whatever works for you today. So we're creating more space across the ribs, creating the twist, feeling the compression on the left side and the expansion on the right side. We're going to be off that wrist in just a few seconds, don't worry. Find the sensation. Notice how it feels. All right, let's bring that top hand back. We're going to come down on the elbow. So right here is where you might need a little bit of padding. Okay, so the legs can stay right here if you wish. Let's bring this top hand up and reach it towards your back. Now for some of you, it's going to feel a lot better to look down. Push into the hip, lift the rib up, opening up the areas under both armpits, holding now for 1 minute. So both armpits are now open. Top hand is reaching to your back. Our gaze is down, pushing down into that right hip, lifting up through the left rib cage. Establishing traction. Now breathe into those areas, into the ribs that are exposed. Find the rhythm of your natural breath here. And you can also use this hand to support the head if your head needs a little bit of support. You can also put a bolster there. Now for 1 minute, inhale, half circle, exhale, half circle. Inhale. Now we're pumping. So we are twisting, opening, leaning, and now we are pumping. This is what is facilitating that lymphatic drainage. Now really think about moving with your breath and make your circle big and slow. Inhaling half the circle, exhaling long and low the other half. Make it a little bit bigger. And now let's push up to a seated position. We're going to do the other side. So coming into that side seal, some methods of yin call this lounge lizard, which I also really like. I don't know, something kind of funky about that. Okay, side seal on the other side, recognizing that our two sides are not equal. If you need padding under that wrist, feel free. If your wrists are not happy with it, do the whole thing here. I should have mentioned that. Okay, side seal now, 2 minutes. So the side that we had compressed is now opening up. Our left side is opening. Now start to breathe into that left side, the underside. Inhale and exhale. We know that our lymphatic system is our immune system. Our lymphatic system facilitates the drainage of all that bad stuff Anything that doesn't belong in our healthy ecosystem drains through the lymphatic system. But if our lymphatic system is blocked, then our lymph can't flow. So what we are doing is establishing that pumping, twisting, and leaning to facilitate the increased flow of lymph, which we want. We want a good lymphatic drainage system. So we're opening up the areas of the lymph nodes and then breathing into the side, pushing down through the hip, establishing traction, establishing the stretch. Plus, I love this stretch. I love this yin pose. Nice conscious breathing today. Breathe into that bottom side. Feel it expanding. Good. Let's bring that top leg over the top. Bend back the bottom leg just like that. And then we'll take that top hand back, holding this pose for 2 minutes. Feel into the twist. And then lift the chest up, pushing down into that hip just a little bit more. So now we are opening up underneath both arms. If your wrist has had enough, go down on that elbow. It's fine. It's fine. You're still going to open. Push down into the hip. Breathe consciously into the ribs. Visualize the body creating more space through the twist. And you can look down, you can look wherever you need to for your head, just not back. Visualize expansion underneath the arms. Visualize the low body rooted and heavy into the earth. And you can take that back a little bit further if it's good. If it's not, don't do it. Deep conscious breaths. Feel the heart opening. Breathe in expansion. Exhale. Good. Let's bring that top hand back. Come down to the elbow. Oh, beautiful. And let's bring that top arm up and reach it to the low back. We're just going to hold this now for a minute. Let's lift up into that rib. So now we're trying to create, instead of less space, more space underneath the armpits. Feeling a beautiful stretch up the right side. And that hand can come around and support the head if you wish. Create traction through the hips. Push down. Lift. Now breathe into the space underneath the armpits. We need to move that area, create that pumping action to get the lymphatic system moving. The pump is our heart. The pump is our heart and our breath. Right? The breath facilitates the heart pumping. The movement is created through the breath. One minute of moving. Inhaling half the circle.
and exhaling. The arm is slightly bent here, or a lot bent actually, and you're moving. So now we're really pumping with the breath, with the heart, and with the movement. We've opened up the area. Now we're facilitating movement. I invite you, if it's accessible to you, to close your eyes. Close your eyes and move with your breath so that you're not swayed by my movement. Maybe I'm moving too slow. Maybe I'm moving too fast. Beautiful. Let's come all the way up. How did that feel? We're going to come into dragonfly pose now. So you have lymph nodes in between your thighs, in between your legs, your inner thighs. I'm just going to bring this blanket for underneath my bum. So if you have tight inner thighs, tight hamstrings, you might want to sit on something, prop yourself up. We're going to be in dragonfly for several minutes. So if you need bolsters or anything underneath your knees, do that. I'm going to grab a block so I can show you how to use that. So sitting on the edge of your blanket, we're going to sit just in seated dragonfly now for 1 minute. So once again, this is a great time for you to check in and make sure that you're good. Get the wiggles out. Prop up. Draw the body upright. The back is upright. We're going to start to establish traction. Turn your thoughts into your sits bones and feel them pushing down into the earth. So feel the gentle opening in that inner thigh. You're also going to get the hamstrings, of course. So deep conscious breathing. Now let's lean to the left side. Okay, you can use a block here. Reach that left hand out. Now this might be enough for you just to lean right here. You can take this hand here, or you can take it up, or even supporting the head. 1 minute in this position now. So we're opening up underneath the arm, but we're also opening up the inner thigh. So this is kind of a variation on what we did first. So now establish traction through this hip. Push down into that hip, and you're grounded through that arm. Pushing, establish the traction. So don't shy away from it. Wherever you are, it's the traction, the pumping, and the breathing that are more important than the shape of the pose. And this hand doesn't have to be up. As long as the elbow's up, that's fine. Now we're going to lean more. So this is where your block comes into play. You can put it this way. Lean more. And now reach the top hand up. 1 minute only. Take a look down. You can be anywhere you need to be with that block. We are establishing a big amount of traction through that hip. This is a big pose, guys. Do you feel that beautiful stretch? So this is where the yin comes in, right? This is where we are feeling into the connective tissue, but we're circling the arms. We're adding movements, shorter holds of the pure pose, and focusing on actually altering the breath a little bit. Inhaling into that exposed side and exhaling. And now let's circle that arm 1 minute. Down and up. And see if you can make your circle big. Inhale when the arm comes up. Exhaling when it comes down. Inhaling in expansion and exhaling around. Pausing anywhere that you need to, but keep the arm moving and pumping with your breath. Now let's sit up briefly. Ooh, that was a lot. Let's turn over that left leg, and then we're just going to fold over. Again, we want to create space now under both armpits. We're going to hold this now for 1 minute. Again, establish traction down in that hip. Allow the head to dangle. Now breathe in underneath the armpits and exhale. Push down into the right hip. We are establishing traction. Making sure that you're facilitating space underneath the arms, traction in the hips, and a twist through that mid-body. And your breath is deep and conscious. Lots to think about. Gently, gently, gently walk yourself up. Whoa! Give your legs a little bit of a break. A little bit of windshield wipering here. Okay, next pose, we're going to come down through the center. So forward fold, dragonfly, 2 minutes. Simply fold forward. You can use a block here and rest your head on it, but we need to once again create space underneath the arms. So reach the hands forward. Push down through the hips. Visualize the sits bones reaching down into the earth and the toes reaching to the sky. Breathe into the area underneath your arms, but also breathe into your inner thighs. So you really got that kind of whole torso breathing together. Let's walk slowly up. Give your legs a little break if you need to. If you were using a block or a bolster or a pillow, let's move it over to the other side. And we've got this whole thing on the other side now. So let's reach our right hand out, left hand up to the side. And we have 2 minutes right here. This hand can be down. This hand can be supporting the head. Just leaning in. Once again, we establish that traction in the hip. Push down into the hip.
Feel how solid you are on the earth. Now breathe consciously into the ribs. Inhaling and exhaling. Traction, pumping, breath, stretching. So again, it doesn't matter where that arm is as long as the elbow is up into the air. Gaze can be down. This is also quite nice if you just kind of use your hand to hold onto your forehead. Pushing into the left hip. We breathe consciously. Taking care of your neck here. Breathe into the rib. Push down in the left hip, sorry. Let's come down even further. Use your block here if you need to. Come down onto the elbow. 1 minute only. Reach the hand up. If you're shaking, back out of it. Shake it out for a minute and come back. This is a lot. Again, we push down into this hip. Traction. Feel the stretch. Breathe into this area here. I like to imagine that it's like stretching out that area, the lymph nodes. I know that's not really possible, but that's my visual. So if this is too high, you can have your block this way, or if you're feeling really awesome, go all the way down. Just a few more seconds. Start to circle the arm. Inhaling expansion. 1 minute. Exhaling around. Again, I invite you to close the eyes if it is accessible and move your arm. Inhaling, expand. Exhaling, bottom half. Moving consciously and moving with the breath. Pushing down through that left hip. Keep the traction. I know I keep saying that, but that's important. Let's come up slowly, briefly. Ooh. Turn toward that right leg now. Push down through that sits bone on the left side And we're going to fold over, lifting both arms up. Again, it doesn't matter if you touch the leg or the foot. What matters is that the arms are up and we are twisting and folding. 1 minute, holding this now. Again, we are consciously breathing into those ribs, into the underarms, pushing down through the hips. Feel the breath moving in the ribs. Left hip bone pushing down. Left whole leg maybe even pushing down. Pushing into the floor now. Let's gently walk up. Ooh. Come back to the center. Give your legs a little break if you need it. We have one more forward fold through the center to do. So find what feels good. This is pretty intense. That's why the holds are shorter. And we're going to fold over to the front again, pushing down through the hips. 2 minutes dragonfly. So find where it feels good for you. And this is pretty much now a full yin stretch, but establishing the dynamic tension, reaching the hands out, prop up your head, use a bolster, block, pillow, whatever you've got, and breathe into the underarms. So we're really focusing now on opening up the inner thighs, underneath the arms, push down through the hip bones, the sits bones, sorry. Feel the legs heavy on the mat and the toes reaching up to the ceiling. Allow the head to sag. Gently put pressure into your hands and start to push up. Coming up to a seated position, giving yourself a moment. Let's bend those legs. We're almost done. Allow the legs to windshield wiper a little bit. Let's bring those feet together wherever you are in butterfly stretch. And you can use blocks underneath the knees. If your legs are shaking, that was a lot of external rotation, and we're not quite done with it yet. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, holding butterfly just for a second. Now, another thing that really works for lymphatic drainage is brushing. You can brush your arms, brush your legs, dry brushing. If you have really sensitive skin like I do, I've found a really neat brush with little nubs on it, but you can get dry brushes. You can get them at various places, and they're great. Or you can use a washcloth.
So, my usual butterfly, my feet are really, really close to my groin. That's just the way my body is. It's not a skill. But I'm actually going to take them away from my body a little bit. So now I have a lot more space. And I'm going to start to move the lymph physically with my hands. I'm going to start to just brush up my shins, my calves, and then brush on the inner thighs. Okay? All in here, all in the inner thighs. This actually feels good. So I'm brushing, and you always brush toward the heart. Okay? So brushing in, this is facilitating breaking up any blockages in your lymphatic drainage system. Next, you want to start to just gently brush up here and under the arm. Just like that. You'll also see people doing this with tapping. If tapping is better for you to tap, go ahead. I prefer the brush. You can use a washcloth. You can use a dry brush underneath the arm. Just like this. Lots of lymph nodes here. Let's tap. One of my hands is always faster than the other. I don't know why. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. Gentle, gentle, gentle for me. Good. Now come into your fullest extension of butterfly. Bring the hands here and start to circle the elbows just a few times. So we opened up the lymph nodes. We started bringing awareness and facilitating drainage through pumping and breathing. Let's go the other way. And then we started to brush upwards to facilitate even more drainage. One more. Beautiful. Let's have a little lie down now and just see how you feel. So bring your body down to the mat. We're just going to stay here for a very, very brief moment. So coming all the way down to the mat and opening up our hearts. So just allowing the blood flow. Now, we did a lot of external rotation with those legs. So if you need to bend them, take them wide, and then just allow the knees to flop together. That's a great counter pose. You might also want to take the hands overhead here, just to stretch that out. And now, wherever you are in your pose, traditional Shavasana or anything else, establish traction. Feel heavy through the hips and breathe into the ribs. Stay here as long as you want, or bring the arms over your heart, feet flat to your mat. Roll over onto your side, pushing up. Coming back to a seated position, wherever you are. Noticing how your body feels. Maybe you feel that your circulation's a little bit better, or maybe you just feel good and stretched out. Let's take a breath together. Om Shanti 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 Om. Om peace, peace, peace. Peace to your mind, peace to your body, peace to your spirit. Thank you so much for sharing practice with me today. I hope that you enjoyed it.